Oh, good Lord, how hard was it to predict this? I've been saying over the past couple of weeks that it appears the Democrats have chosen AOC to be the leader. Gavin Newsom's, all kinds of negative press, one after the other. They can't go back to Kamala Harris. They have to pick a leader. AOC Biscuit kept showing up in the news over and over, commenting on one thing after another. I go, oh, good Lord, you could tell this is what they're going to do. They're going to put their money down on AOC Biscuit. I had no doubt about it. Lo and behold, what do we hear today?
The Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House. If they want to do this, and if they want to screw over the American people, they can do this with their votes and their party.
The question Democrats have confronted since Election Day is, who actually is leading their party? Well, a new CNN poll out this morning gives us a sense of who Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters think best aligns with their party's core values. And that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the New York Democrat and progressive firebrand who was furious at Senate Democrats for allowing the GOP spending bill to become law. Now, it all comes as a slew of potential Democratic presidential candidates are already testing the waters for 2028. Just to look at a little bit more in this poll, the question about who best reflects the core values of the Democratic Party, if you break down among age group, perhaps no surprise, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a few people who are younger than 45, 15% say that she does.
Yeah, there it goes. Now all of a sudden the news is covering AOC that she's the front runner. It's amazing how when Kamala Harris lost the election, they were like, oh, she's definitely way out there. There's a lot of support behind her. Heck, they even have AOC in front of Barack Obama. And this isn't the direction that the Democrats want to go in. That's not true at all. This is the direction they're going to try to convince us that Democratic supporters want as their core values. A socialist Democrat. AOC is a socialist. They're trying to say that their values line up exactly with AOC. In her own town halls, her own people don't support her. I don't even know how she won this re-election. Must have some funny business going on with the voting. So they think the Democrats' core values are lined up with AOC Biscuit. I don't think so. Let's remind everybody the type of politician that she is.
On the last day of this session, Republicans have decided to skip town. But what this debt ceiling debate really is about is the fact that they have run up a bill, Republicans have run up a bill that they now do not want to pay. They have run up this bill with extremely excessive military spending. They have run up this bill with extraordinary tax cuts for the wealthiest people in this country. And now when it comes down to time to pay for this bill, they do not want to pay it. And not only that, but they are accusing Democrats of saying we spend too much. For anyone that wants to entertain that thought, I ask you to think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them, that their Social Security check was too high, that teachers are paid too much. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?
My friend from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, said, quote, I ask you, think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that? I'll say it. I'll say it right here. I don't want the government doing most of the things that the government is doing to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their lives. Federal, state, and local. When was the last time you had a bureaucrat show up and you said, oh joy, thank you, I'm really glad there's a bureaucrat here? When was the last time you were thankful for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 almost for every man, woman, and child in America? Anybody thankful for $32 trillion in debt? Anybody? Anybody thankful for a border that's wide open being exploited by cartels while fentanyl comes in and kills our children? Everybody thankful for that Department of Homeland Security that doesn't actually secure the homeland? Everybody thankful for an FBI that went after Scott Smith and labeled him a domestic terrorist for daring to defend his daughter in a school board meeting because she was assaulted in a bathroom? Anybody thankful for the IRS knocking on your door, auditing the poor and the minorities 3 to 5 times more? People thankful for that? Are you thankful for the EPA or the Department of Interior that sent a man to prison because he had some ponds on his ranch in Montana? We have a government that is weaponized against the American people and is undermining our liberties, and they want more of it. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle want more government. They want more taxes. They want more spending. They want more bureaucrats knocking on your door, like Mark Houck in Philadelphia when he woke up to this door being knocked on by local law enforcement teamed up with federal law enforcement to go carry out a warrant to arrest him because he had defended his son exercising free speech, because he is a pro-life activist in Philadelphia. That is your government at work. The fact is, we have a decision to make here. What are we going to do? Are we going to listen to the wailing and gnashing of teeth of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, projecting a manufactured crisis to exploit fear to try to raise our debt limit, a credit card limit, by $4 trillion? I want to be very clear, and I want to be clear to my colleagues on this side of the aisle. Anybody making a deal right now? $4 trillion? Are you out of your frigging mind?
I love how she said the Republicans ran up this bill. She's like, oh, the Republicans ran up the bill, now they're running out on it? They don't want to pay it? What the hell are you talking about? Biden's been in the office for the last 4 years. You supported a lot of his decision making, in case you forgot. This is going to be their front runner for 2028. Are you ready for a socialist America? But let's continue. Let me show you what other things I want to remind you about AOC Biscuit, in case you forgot.
Now, we all know that AOC is a bit of an idiot. We watched her say some of the most mind-bogglingly stupid things we've ever heard any politician say in the history of our country. Sometimes we need a bit of a reminder.
Okay, everyone, I need your help. I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived. It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is.
To make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommend zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as it is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
The fight's been long, y'all. This is what organizing looks like. This is what building power looks like. This is what changing the country looks like. I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat. There is nothing wrong with driving the buses that take your family to work. There is nothing wrong with being a working person in the United States of America, and there is everything dignified about it.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war, this is our World War II. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children? The America that we're living in today is so dystopian, with people sleeping in their cars so that they can work a second job without health care.
Back in 2016, we put out a call for nominations. Out of those 10,000 nominations, we found Alexandria.
My brother told me that he had sent my nomination in the summer, but I was like literally working out of a restaurant then, and I was like, there's no way. Feeling like it was a movement and that it wasn't about me was the most convincing aspect.
Because all of you got into this like movement first, that's defined, I mean, your actions since you got elected,
Yeah.
right?
We have to occupy all of it. We need to occupy every airport. We need to occupy every border. We need to occupy every ICE office.
So people are like, oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it.
Right.
Because you're not. Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss.
That's
How about
right.
that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business
Did you
deal,
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir? Specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category.
Unemployment is low because everyone has two jobs. Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids. Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world. When this country
It is the system that, unlike all the others, has lifted more people out of poverty over the course of human history than any other system.
Well, so I think that those things that you talk about, that you discuss, are part of the course of human evolution. I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition. And that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also just, I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue.
Guys, there are secret underground tunnels between all of these government buildings. We need to understand and take a step back as to how we got to this point in the first place. Our current leadership was appointed.
Yep.
It was not elected.
And that projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
Ask you something. Whom do you believe to be the head of the Democratic Party?
I don't think that there's any one head.
I believe you, although it is vague, and I also believe intentionally so. If you are to be successful in the general, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if you win and you go to Congress, there will be a leader of your caucus. Her name is Nancy Pelosi. Do you recognize her as the leader for the House Democrats?
Of course.
Why
well, I think absolutely right now, you know, she...
Go ahead, please.
She is the leader of Speaker, or rather Leader Pelosi. Hopefully, you know, we'll see. She is the current leader of the party, and I think that the party absolutely does have its leadership in the House. We have our...
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be hopping on here, Senator Sanders' account, and we're here in Kansas City to rally for Brent Welder. We're going to flip this seat red in November.
If people pay their fair share, if corporations and the ultra wealthy, if we reverse the tax bill but raised our corporate tax rate to 28%, if we do those two things and also close some of those loopholes, that's $2 trillion right there. If we implement a carbon tax, that's an additional amount of a large amount of revenue that we can have.
60% of the time, it works every time.
And then the last key, which is extremely, extremely important, is reprioritization. Just last year, we gave the military a $700 billion budget increase, which they didn't even ask for.
Yeah, Pete, she's also speaking for people who don't read books, because almost nothing she said in that clip was factually correct.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations.
So here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus? Right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about, and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right? And it's part of our experience growing up.